got a 2007 clapped out Vibe here in the shop, and Rob, my brother-in-law, is getting some new brake calipers. How many miles does this have on it, this Vibe?
330.
330,000 miles on the ticker, and we're going to fix it. So we're going to show you how to replace the brake calipers on your Pontiac Vibe, and let's hop into it.
All right, so we're going to take the caliper off, and I'm just cracking these loose right now. These are 14 millimeters. I don't have to take them off right now because I'm going to do it on the bench. I just got to get the caliper off. So I got 14 millimeter here. I'm cracking these loose. I got the line here, which is a 14 millimeter here. And if you inspect your flex hoses, make sure that there's no dry rot on them. Amazing at 330,000, there's no dry rot on these lines. So we're going to crack this loose, and it's going to drain some fluid down. And this has the style on the washers that built right around the line, and we're going to be changing these, so we're not going to use this style anymore. We have two new seal washers instead of this type here. So so make sure that's clean, and we can tuck that out of the way. Now we're going to get the two 17 millimeters off.
And these are the original brake calipers on this car.
Yeah.
This car's been pretty good.
So we did brake pads on it recently, and we found out that the caliper was, dragging. It was pretty slow to collapse, and we decided to get some calipers for it. These are 17 millimeters. There's two of these, one here and one on the bottom. We're going to get this one off here. Okay. Get these two off. I'm buying that electric ratchet this week, Tony.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
You're going to break down and
I'm going to finally break down and buy one.
I'll have to check that bad boy out.
Yeah. Get that one off. Let's get this one. You would have had this off already, Tony.
That electric setup.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take this whole caliper over to the bench now, and we're going to transfer our brake pads into the new one. So the reason I cracked these loose is so I wouldn't have to deal with them on the bench trying to crack them loose. It's kind of a pain when they're tight. Just going to zip these two off here.
There you go. It's a good strategy.
So I'm taking the caliper off now. I don't need the caliper or anything on it anymore. And the new one that we have over here has, all the clips and everything with it that we need. So I'm going to take this new bar off, and see, sometimes you can't. One of them came loose. This one I got to crack loose with the ratchet.
Got it?
Yeah. Tony gave me this new microphone here, and I'm trying not to break it on the first day that I use it. So I have to put it in the vise.
The device with the strap on it.
Yeah.
I'd have to get one of those.
All I gotta do is crack it loose. Okay. All right, go back over to the bench with it. Okay, so I'm going to take these and set these aside and set my caliper aside. Got a little rubber grommet that'll be pulling out of it. That's where the caliper flex hose goes to, and it's got a little pin that is an alignment for the caliper flex hose. We'll show it to you there. And we're going to use the new brass washers that they give us in the kit here. And You know, we just put pads on this a few nights ago when we realized we had a tight caliper. So I'm gonna reuse the clips from this one. They're brand new. And here's the new setup that we're gonna have for the caliper hose. We got these two new brass fittings. So even though these have a little bit of grease on these, you know, they always give you, you know, the minimum of everything now. So we're gonna hold the boot and peel the boots back, and we're gonna put a little more dielectric grease. I mean, excuse me, caliper synthetic lube that we have on them. You know, this is a higher temp stuff, and I'm not really sure what the manufacturer is giving you, but
Yeah, viewers always ask where I get this stuff. I'll put a link to it in the description of the video out on Amazon. I'll put the brake caliper out there and everything else, and you guys can buy it right out of there.
yeah. You know, the calipers get hot when you're stopping. All this gets some extreme heat on it, and so we want to have a little more lube on there. You push it down, the boot fills up with it. That's good. Okay. All right. Now we've got our clips over here, our brake pads. You want to make sure your hands are clean when you're dealing with the brake pads. We don't want any grease on them. So we're going to try and pull these out without touching them too much. Like I said, we just put these on, so that's when we realized the calipers were hanging up on it. So I got my clips right here. These are my brand new clips, 3 days old. So we're putting these back on. Could have used the new ones, but like I said, we just put these on. So, all right. So I got to put a little grease in here, inside the grooves.
So the reason why we're putting a little bit of caliper pin grease in here is to prevent the brake pads from hanging up on the metal.
And they need to slide smooth. And as this stuff gets older, you know, you build up rust in here underneath the clips, and it swells, and then it squishes down on the brake pads. So now the pads don't slide evenly back and forth. So when you go and take one of these off and you're doing a brake job at your house, and the brake pads don't slide right out, and you got to take a hammer and tap them out because you're going to reuse the brake bar sometimes. Well, that's what happens. They build up there. So you need to take a small file and clean this out with a file. In any one of our brake jobs, you'll see us doing it. We have a small file that we got. We clean these grooves all out and make sure it's nice and clean. And when you get your brake pads, now that we have our caliper pins all set up, we're going to slip the brake pads in here, and we're going to show you what we're talking about making sure that they slide and move, you know, evenly. So you want to make sure that, see this pad, it's sliding. That's what you want it to be able to do. So, all right, so we get that one in. I'll do the same thing on this one. Get any fingerprints on here or anything, any grease, you can spray with brake cleaner or hit it with a little bit of sandpaper, and that'll take it off. So I like to just roll the brake pad, you know, into the clip and then stand it up. Okay, see how it's moving? So I know this is not going to drag. Now I've got an even amount of space here, so I'm going to go take the caliper and bracket, and I'm going to bolt it on the motor, right on the spindle hub right now. Got my bolt in here. I'm going to slide this on. I want to squeeze my pads on, then try and line up this first hole. Yeah. Whatever one lines up easier first, grab it. Okay. Now, we did the other one already, and we had the same issue. The thread just starts on it, and it seemed like it was a little tight, but it's just because, I don't know if it's these new brake bars, but the bolts are, right now they seem tight, but I put the ratchet on them, and they tighten up pretty easy. So I'm going to get the ratchet. We're going to tighten these two up right now. Okay, I got my 17 millimeter again, and we're going to go slow because we want to make sure that the thread starts correct, and it is. It's just a new bracket. I don't know if there's paint in there on the threads, but I'm confident that it's starting, you know, square and correctly. I got never sees already on the bolts from when we did it the other night, so I didn't put any more on. I'm just holding my brake pads so they don't rattle out. And I've got never sees on both of these bolts, and they're both tightening up. They're just, you know, a little stiff because I think there's paint in the threads of the holes. You know, you could have ran your bolts down on the bench first if you wanted, but we got never sees on them. I'm not going to have any issues. Okay, make sure those are both good and tight. Okay. All right, so we're going to grab our caliper now. We're going to put it on there. So you see the hole that you have in the caliper right here, the little one? That's for this little pin right here that's sticking down right here. So we've got our two washers here, and I'm going to stick one through the caliper flex hose, put the other one on. And you can do this, you know, outside the vehicle. You can do it when we put the caliper on. So I'm going to bolt the caliper on, and then I'll come back and I'll grab that.
So the two washers Steve was just talking about, those little two copper washers, there's one on each side of that flex hose.
Okay, we put our lube on our bolts, use never sees, and so we're going to tighten these up right now. They're 14 millimeters. My hands are too slippery to. No, there we go. Now these are supposed to have a flat spot on the bars here to stop this caliper pin from twisting, but what I noticed on the other side was it doesn't really stop it. So I don't know if the calipers, so you got the little flat groove up in here. This one seems like it's catching. Let's try this one. It's stopping the pin from turning. The other one, you know, these calipers are all rebuilt, so I don't know if the manufacturing, you know, when they cleaned it up, that they took a little too much metal off to stop the pin. Like you'll see this pin up here. This pin's turning up here. You come up here, Tone.
Yep.
So I'm going to put a wrench on this one up here.
Yep.
So the caliper pin's supposed to hit this flat spot right here, but it's going right around it. So I got a wrench for that. I'm using a 21 millimeter, and you know, once this thing catches a little, it'll stop it, you know, from turning. There we go. Okay, that was tight. And this bottom one felt like it was catching, so see, now it's not.
It's spinning, yeah.
So we'll just put the wrench on it. That's okay. So, okay, that one's tight. All right, so we can line up our hole here for our caliper. I'm going to catch my threads and then just get the pin, to fall into the hole like it just did there.
Yep.
And then I'll tighten up the 7/16 here. We pinched the hose off so that we wouldn't lose any fluid here. I'm going to tighten this up. My hands are slippery. Okay. Snug this up. You don't have to kill this. Just snug it up good. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm going to take the vice grips off. Feel the line to make sure it doesn't feel oval. It feels really good. And if you're unsure of it, I had the pliers going this way. Just give it a little squish this way so you know that you're good. And then we're going to peel the boot off here. And this is 8mm. And I'm just cracking it loose briefly with these. So we're going to let this gravity bleed into the bucket. And that's going to get us just about a good pedal. And then we're going to bleed the brakes. And typically you always bleed the farthest from the master cylinder. So Tony's going to get in there. And we're going to pump up the brake. We're going to bleed this one. And then we'll close the valve. I'll tell him to pump it up again. And we'll go through the process. But we're going to wait till this drips a little bit. Top off our fluid, and then we'll stop bleeding.
Okay, so Rob's going to jump in the car, and we're going to tell him to pump up the brakes and hold it while we bleed them. Right, Rob?
Oh, yeah.
So right now we're just going to top off the brake fluid. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, the calipers filled up because they were empty, so it sucked the master cylinder down. So we're just going to fill this up. Okay, it's just about coming up. Okay, so we're going to get the cap on it. We'll pump it up. I'll tell them when. I have to close the valve on the other side. All right, so we got our bleeder crack loose and it's dripping. So we know that we're good with that. We've already got fluid coming out of it. So the caliper piston is filled up. I'm going to tighten this up. All right, let me check the other one with the wrench to make sure it's tight. Okay, all right. That one's tight. All right, so when we're bleeding brakes, we're not having a full conversation, people. It's pump it up, and the person in the car is going to say, okay, and then I'm going to crack the bleeder, and when it's closed, I'm going to tell them to pump it up again. Yeah. That's all you need to say. So don't get confused with it.
What about if it's like a hot-looking chick and
no,
she's single?
No.
So, still can't have a conversation?
No, pump it up. Softly pump the brake pedal. You don't want to kill it. Okay. See the air come out? Okay, pump it up. Once he starts getting pressure, he's gonna say okay. You good? All you want to say is okay when the brake pedal's firm. Okay. Okay, we're bleeding out. Pump it up.
Okay.
Pump it up. See, I got a little more air that time.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I'm really not getting any more air. I'm going to go one more time. Pump it up.
Okay.
Okay, there's no more air.
There you go.
All right, let off, Rob. Okay, you're not supposed to drop that. So I'm going to put the rubber booty back on here, so we're good. And I'm going to dry the caliper down because once we get this thing up, we're going to want to start the car and step on the brake to get maximum pressure and make sure there's nothing leaking from our washers here. So I kind of want to dry this up a little bit. We're going to go over to the other side now. It's going to be the same procedure.
Yep. Steve had already replaced the caliper on the other side, and it's the same thing.
Rob, turn the wheels to the left a little, please. Perfect. All right, pop it up.
Okay.
See the air come out?
Yep.
Pop it up.
Okay.
Pop it up.
Okay.
Okay, we got no air left. We're going to go one more time. Pop it up.
Okay.
How's the pedal feel? Yeah, if you just step on it, how's the pedal feel?
Good.
Okay, all right. We're going to put our booty on here. Then we're going to dry everything right now. And I'm going to put the car up in the air so we get a really good view. And I'm going to have Rob start it and then step on the brake and make sure we don't have any leakage around our new seal washers here. Okay, start it up. Turn the wheels to the right a little. All right, that's a lot. All right, get in there with the light.
Yep.
Okay, step on the brake, Rob. Okay, we don't see anything leaking here. And you know, if you put your finger there, you're doubting it. If you got fluid, you're gonna have fluid on your finger. That's nice and dry. Let's check the other side. Okay, step on the brake. Okay, we got no fluid leaking at all. You really got to check this, guys. If you over tighten this and you crush this washer and it starts to get oval on you, it's going to leak. You're going to be chasing your ass. Just take your time doing it. So we've got it all bled. We got to put our rubber booty on this side, which I thought I did, but must have fell off. I got another one.
All right, so just remember to top off the brake fluid, check the fluid level, the brake fluid level, and top it off if needed. And thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I will reply back to you. Thanks for watching, guys.